Firestorm, that's a hell of a picture.
Yeah.
Remember when they had the helicopter land on top of that car?
Hey, come on. I haven't seen it yet.
It doesn't have anything to do with the plot.
Still, I like to go in fresh.
Oh, mother of God.
If you're a Seinfeld fan, and for your sake, I really hope you are, you'll likely recognize that clip. George and Susan's parents are meeting for the first time, and George, in an effort to diffuse what is rapidly becoming a Seinfeldian quagmire, is trying to steer the conversation towards something more benign. A new film called Firestorm, which Mr. Ross declares to be a hell of a picture. Now, the scene begins and precipitates this transition with George's dad, Frank, opining on the ambiguous gender roles of roosters, hens, chickens, and you know what, just do yourself a favor and watch the episode. Because this is not a podcast about Seinfeld, although it will come up, a lot. No, this is a podcast about Firestorm, and specifically the way Mr. Ross chose to describe it. A hell of a picture. Picture, movie, film, 3 words that most people would consider largely synonymous. But roll them around a bit. Are they exactly the same? Have you ever said, hey, let's all go see that new Fast and the Furious film? Or talked about the merits of French New Wave movies? Have you even used the term picture to describe cinema, ever? Well, for the record, I love the Fast and the Furious. I am totally unfamiliar with French New Wave, and I adore the word picture for describing cinema. Why do I love this clip and this word so much? What is it about Mr. Ross declaring that's a hell of a picture that makes me laugh? Well, for starters, I love oldie-timey stuff. My favorite Simpsons character is unquestionably Mr. Burns. There's just something about antiquated diction that I find irresistibly funny, and you pair that with the capitalist tyranny of Burns and you've got a comedy legend. But this is also not a Simpsons podcast, though, again, there will be tangents. When Mr. Ross says picture in that way, it conjures for me an image of old Hollywood. Now, I'm not romanticizing every aspect of old Hollywood. Like the communist witch hunts, the racism, the misogyny. But there is something undeniably charming about the phrase, the pictures. When the Academy hands out the Oscars, they honor the best picture. When Martin Scorsese speaks of his work, he calls it pictures. Not movies, not films, pictures. Now, is that just because he's an old school director using old school terms? Is the distinction we're talking about here purely temporal? Are pictures old and the other 2 new? Are movies mainstream? Are films art house claptrap that go over the heads of most of the movie-going public? This is probably somewhat reductive and unfair to both movies and film, but I can accept the basic delineation that the former tends to be more populist and the latter is more concerned with the expression of the auteur. So where does that leave picture? Maybe picture is that middle ground between the 2 poles that captures the best of both. The spectacle of movie with the artistic sincerity of film. Or could that just be a well-made movie and a fun film? I don't quite know. But what I do know, my friend Andrew and I have long reserved the phrase hell of a picture for a specific kind of cinema experience. A rare film or movie that we've held up across time and genre. We don't quite know how to quantify it, but we know it when we see it. It's really more of a feeling. So what is the feeling? Is it when you walk out of the theater and you want to run it back right away for a second screening? Does it come from something that you can watch over and over again? Is it about timeless themes and ideas? Something that bridges the old world and the new, transcending the sensibilities of either era? Old world charm and new world style? Well, that's what we're here to figure out. And in the interest of nailing down this elusive term, we're going to watch a crap ton of movies and films, and we're going to talk about them so we can determine what makes a hell of a picture.
I'm one half of your co-host, Andrew Bartlett. I'm sitting across the table, I guess, the internet table, from my good friend, David Hollingshurst. How are you, sir?
Good, buddy. The great, scary, scattered table that is the internet. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk movies with my buddy. It's going to be a laugh.
Man, that was a hell of an intro you just gave us. That monologue you wrote, and that was awesome, man. And that gives us, the audience, a little bit of a rundown of what we're doing here on this podcast, what we're doing together, and what we're going to hopefully create together. Lots of Seinfeld references, as I have my Seinfeld shirt on. My favorite sweater I have.
Nice.
But lots of Seinfeld, but lots of movies. and we're going to talk about them. And Dave, we've known each other now for how long? I don't know, we talked about this before.
Yeah, I mean, going on 30 years, coming up to it. Yeah, pretty close.
That's how old we are, man. Yeah. So we met in high school, and our relationship blossomed. Junior high. You're correct. Yeah.
And maybe even a little prior to that.
I mean,
actually,
we were
some YMCA basketball. I think we crossed paths.
I think we crossed.
YBC.
We did. Man, oh God, that wasn't yesterday. That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. And man, there was like a time when we spent every weekend together for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like every single weekend. It was like, if I was going to my dad's house, you'd be coming with me. And if you were going to your dad's house, I'd be coming with you, and we just like swap off, and we'd play countless hours of video games, and like countless hours of basketball, and countless hours of watching movies, man.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a long time
true
coming.
Renaissance men, we had it all. We loved athletics and nerd culture, and we were this, I think a good cross section of humanity. We didn't, we didn't pigeonhole ourselves. It was good.
So like you mentioned in the beginning, what we're doing here is we're trying to nail down what this elusive term is called. What we would consider to be a hell of a picture. Hell of a picture can be a great film. It can be a movie. It can be cinema. We don't quite know how to pin it down yet, and that's what we're trying to figure out on this podcast together.
Yeah, like you say, it's kind of an elusive term. Like we know it when we see it, but in terms of actually qualifying it and listing criteria as to what makes it, we're not quite sure. There could be great movies, great films, legendary ones that don't make this, because they just don't hit in the right way, So that's an important caveat to give people, that we are not just giving you, our sort of top movies of all time list. This is something a little more nuanced. This, we talk about, the monologue brush, sort of touches on a bit. This maybe it's about a cross section between movie and film. Maybe that's what a picture is. And a hell of a picture is one of those that does it, just legendarily well. But again, we're not 100% sure on this. I think it's going to be interesting. And part of the process is watching movies, talking about them, and developing a working definition, and seeing how that sort of, bears out. So it's going to be an interesting process. I think that's, and you know what, it's a flimsy pretext, if nothing else, to just talk to my friend about movies. So I will take it, because this, in and of itself, this is like a wholesome, rewarding activity, just talking about movies, doing something creative. And it gives us a really wonderful opportunity to, maintain a friendship, which becomes difficult, as we get older, like social, it's not like when you're younger, you just take for granted how much free time you have, and how much, how much of your life is just based around friendships. And now so much of your life is just based around, the banality of life, just the mundane, day-to-day stuff that you have to do. And it doesn't leave a lot of time for talking to old friends, but this is the perfect avenue for us, I think. And I'm really, really thrilled about that more than anything.
I feel like every year my goal is to watch more movies. And it's like, sometimes I feel like I don't watch enough movies, and it's like a crazy thing to think about. It's like, I one of my New Year's resolutions is to watch more films. And it's like something that I just love doing so much. And I love, aside from just watching movies, is talking about movies and talking to people that I really care about. And I love to talk to movies about, like yourself. And I think, we can watch a movie and we can have intelligent and funny and conflicting opinions and ideas about movies. And we can debate them and we can agree. And it's one of my favorite things to do. So like you said, it's a good excuse to get together with a friend, and we want all the people listening to come along with us on this journey of trying to figure out what a hell of a picture is, and watch the movies with us. And this is the start of something great, and hopefully it'll continue on for a long time. That's what we hope anyway.
As long as it makes us happy. And right now it's definitely making me happy.
That's right.
Yeah. So
100%. So with that being said, our first film, our first episode, our first hell of a picture nominee.
Potential. That's right. We don't know.
Potential. We're going to figure it out during the episode. It's going to be from a film from the 1970s. We're going to go back a little while, but to a American classic. And we're going to talk about Steven Spielberg's Jaws.
Baby.
Considered to be what, Dave? What would we call it?
The original summer blockbuster.
The first blockbuster?
Yeah, the first summer blockbuster.
The original summer blockbuster.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, yeah, there's going to be, part of the conversation will be will be around, I think the seminal effect of Jaws on how and when movies were released, because that was something that I was unaware of going into it, and I think a lot of people are probably unaware of. There's an interesting bit of movie history attached to it, and how it how it influenced the way films are released and marketed, and that was something that I was unaware of, but I think is very interesting.
We're going to touch on a lot of it, and we're going to figure out if it's a hell of a picture, and if it makes it into that holy ground of being called a hell of a picture in this world, anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's starting next week, and then we'll see where that takes us. And but we'll be doing this once a week, hopefully, and getting them out, and we'll be doing some mini episodes of some fun ideas we have, and so we got big plans, and we're hoping you guys all come along with us. So is there anything else, Dave, or should we just get into watching Jaws and talking about it next week?
Yeah, no, let's dispense with the preamble and get to the main course, so to speak. Take a bite out of Jaws.
It's fitting for Jaws.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So for Dave Hollingshurst, I'm Andrew Bartlett, and this has been a hell of a picture, and we'll see you guys next week.